folks, welcome back to my channel, and for this video I'm going to do something a wee bit different. I had this idea that I could, if I can, I'll try and do some literary tours and maybe kind of show you some places that have literary connections that you might be interested in. So for this one, for me starting out on this one, I thought that a good place to start would be the town of Paisley. And I know that most people associate Paisley with the mills, with the Paisley thread, the Paisley pattern, the Paisley pattern shawls. But the town itself does have literary connections. So I will be taking you around town and telling you a wee bit about the town's literary history. So hopefully you will enjoy this video. And if you are enjoying my videos, if you are enjoying my channel, if you can click on that subscribe button, click on that notification bell, leave some likes, leave some comments, it's always really appreciated. And if you'd like to support the channel further, I will post a link to the channel's coffee.com page in the description bar below and in a pinned comment in the comment section. So I'm going to head off and head into Paisley and show you around. Okay, I've made my first stop, and what I've come to is this fairly unassuming car park on Castle Street. It's actually, I think it's Well Meadow Street is just up the road just there. And where I am, at the site of this car park, there was once a cottage. And this is where probably one of the most famous writers or poets to ever come out of Paisley was born. And this is the site where Robert Tannahill, who is known as Paisley's Weaver poet, was born. Unfortunately, as I have already pointed out, the cottage where he was born is long gone and has since been replaced with this car park, which obviously services the flats that surrounds the car park now. But as you can probably just see right behind me as well, on that gable end, try and move a wee bit, that is one of the murals on Paisley's Murals Trail. So another reason to come up and visit this site. But this the actual cottage here, that once stood here on Castle Street, isn't the one that's known as Tannahill's cottage. I will be going around in a minute to actually show you where Tannahill's cottage now stands, because I think he was born in this cottage here, it once stood here, but actually spent most of his life in the cottage essentially just around the corner on Queen Street. So I will take you around there in a moment and let you see that one and talk to you a wee bit about that one. There is a plaque here that is actually marking this as the site where Robert Tannahill was born. So it's the 3rd of June 1774, and as you can see, that's actually one of the lines from one of his poems. And before I move on, you'll see there's a church just down there, just at the end of the road. That's the Castlehead Kirk. And I would have taken you over to the kirk itself and shown you around, but at the moment the actual church building has been developed into flats, but they are leaving the kirkyard as it is. So I think there had been plans that they were going to concrete over it, but the actual kind of graveyard, but there'd been an outcry and it kind of forced them to kind of keep the graveyard as it is. And the reason why I'm pointing this out is because it is within the kirkyard of Castlehead Kirk that Robert Tannahill is buried. And he was actually buried in an unmarked grave. That was because he was a suicide. And it was, I think a little bit later on, they actually marked the location of where he's said to be buried with a memorial. So hopefully at some point I will be able to kind of revisit Castlehead Kirk and show you where he's said to be buried. Well, that's me just come round the corner, and the cottage behind me, that is the one that is called Tannehill's cottage. This is the one that he lived in for most of his life, except for the 2 years where he was living down in Bristol, the first few months of his life. And yeah, so it's actually owned by the Paisley Burns Club, which is the Burns Club that Tannahill actually helped to found, and it's said to be the oldest Burns Club that is still in existence. So when Tannahill founded the club, they would actually go and meet in the cottage regularly, and the Burns Club, or the Paisley Burns Club, still meets there today. I think they're the ones that actually own the cottage itself. Unfortunately, it's generally not open to the public. I think it is kind of open to the public on like doors open day. So I'll be kind of, hopefully one day I'll be able to get in myself Halloween nosy to see what it's like inside the cottage. But I'll go over and have a little wander in the outside and let you see what you can see. The roof itself is not original. It was actually originally a thatched cottage, but there had been a fire a few years ago, and the roof had to be replaced, and because of the insurance they had to replace it with a slate roof. So he died in 1810. So he's, if my maths is correct, he was 36 when he died. I think there is a wee garden round the back. Yeah, just had a wee nosy around the back. There isn't really much to see, it's just a wee bit of open grounds. It's got some chips down, so it's kind of some wee bits of stone that they've got down to kind of cover the ground. And I've always thought that with Tannehill's cottage being right here in the town is still standing, it could easily be a wee tourist attraction, but it's kind of so often left closed to the public and people can't really get access to it or find out more about Robert Tannahill. But again, I think that's kind of part of the reason why I've kind of started doing these wee tour videos. Because again, there are so many little places throughout Scotland that have literary connections where you can actually go and have a wander and explore Scotland's literature. And yeah, and Paisley's one of those places. So, but there's a wee bit more that I can show you. I have to kind of head down into the town centre now and show you what I can find down there. And if you come into the town centre, you'll find this statue of Robert Tannahill standing in the shadow of the Paisley Abbey. So it's pretty much kind of based on the portraits that we do have of Robert Tannahill. And I will talk a wee bit more about how this statue is funded in the next wee segment. I do love this wee collection of ladies that is inlaid into the base. Well, where I am just now is the Glen Park, which is part of the Gleniffer Braes Country Park. And the Gleniffer Braes themselves stand on the southern edge of Paisley. They actually mark the southern boundary of the town. And I will already have shown you the statue for Robert Tannahill down in the town centre. And the reason why I brought you here is that because how they raised money in order for that statue to be raised and put up where it is was because there was a number of concerts that were held, and they were held within, or they were held on the Gleniffer Braes. And I think they're actually referred to as the Glen concerts. So I think they were held somewhere within kind of this part of the country park. So that's how they raised the money, because everybody had to kind of pay in order to attend the concerts. And it's also the reason why they had the concerts on the Braes themselves was that Robert Tannahill, even though he had a right leg that was like slightly short on his left, which actually caused him a lot of pain, he used to go for up to about 10-mile hikes a day apparently. And he used to spend quite a lot of his time up here on the Gleniffer Braes, just kind of walking around, getting inspiration for his poetry, for his songs. There is actually points on the Gleniffer Braes where you can look down and you can see the remains of Stanley Castle, which now stands within what is now called Stanley Dam or Stanley Reservoir, which is one of the inspirations for one of his songs. And yeah, so it's like this is an area that has actually really inspired a lot of Tannehill's songs and poems. So again, if you do actually enjoy a lot of Tannehill's work, the Gleniffer Braes would be a perfect place for you to come and visit and just go for an explore. There is actually 3 car parks I can think of. There's the Robertson car park, which is also known as the car park in the sky. There's the car park for the Glen Park section, which is just off Gleniffer Road. And there's the Brownlee Brae car park, which is just off the road between Paisley and Barhead. And yeah, so there's definitely we fly there. Definitely plenty of places for you to park, stop and leave your car so you can go off and explore and see the Braes in all of their glory. So I'm going to continue on with my exploration of Paisley's literary heritage. Yeah, I did forget to mention my last little segment there. Probably one of the most influential songs that Tannehill wrote the lyrics to was The Braes of Balchwydder. Don't worry, I'm not going to sing the song because, yeah, you don't want to hear me sing. But the reason why the song The Braes of Balchwydder is such an influential song is it because it was that song that went on to inspire the writing of the song Wild Mountain Thyme. So if you're wanting to have a comparison, I'm pretty sure you can find both songs online, you can find both songs on YouTube. So definitely look them up and have a listen, because it's interesting to hear them kind of as a comparison. Yeah, so that is one of the things that Tannahill has went on to inspire. Probably one of Scotland's most famous songs, Wild Mountain Thyme. Okay, I can't talk about Robert Tannahill and Paisley Poets without talking about the gentleman behind me. Well, this is a statue of Alexander Wilson, who was born in Paisley. He's a weaver, a poet, and he was also the father of American ornithology. Because even though he was born in Scotland, he actually moved to what is now the US and died in Philadelphia, and that's where he's buried. Essentially, he's got himself into a bit of trouble because some of his poems were criticising the mill owners and the conditions in the mills. Got himself arrested, some of his work was destroyed, and when he was released, he emigrated to the States with one of his nephews, started to study American ornithology, wrote 9 volumes in a series called American Ornithology, which is probably what he's most famous for, and he actually died of dysentery and buried over in Philadelphia. Yeah, I've just come around the other side of the Abbey. You can just see the Abbey behind me. So I've just kind of come around the other side of the building itself, walking along the White River, because not far from where Alexander Wilson's statue is, next to the Abbey, you'll actually find the area of the town where he was actually born and brought up, which I'm going to show you in a few minutes. It's actually just across the river from the old mill, which is also known as the Anchor Mill. So I'm just going to get myself along there and show you what it is. That's the old Anchor Mill there. And this little area here is said to be roughly around about where Alexander Wilson was born. So we've got the old tannery over there. Got the Hamill's waterfall with the Watermill Hotel. And the area has been cleaned up and looked after a wee bit by a local group. There's a wee memorial over there which I will want to show you. So this is the memorial that I was telling you about from over there. So we inscription. I'm probably pronouncing this wrong. It's Nemnos. It's like Temnos, a world within a world. I wonder if that figure there is supposed to be Socrates or something. I'll just come around this side. And it says, remember Alexander Wilson, 1766 to 1813. Here was his boyhood playground. Because apparently he did kind of come down and play around about the river, around about here. And I'd pointed out the large mural that overlooks Tannehill's birthplace. Well, they've got one dedicated solely to Alexander Wilson. So it's a Wilson mural. It's usually referred to as the Kingfisher mural. It's probably one of the most famous on the Paisley mural trail. And as Wilson is an ornithologist, they've got a kingfisher on it. And the building you can see behind me, that is the Paisley Arts Centre. And yeah, it did used to be a church, that's why it looks the way it does. And that is where they had the inaugural event for the Paisley Book Festival. And I actually think quite a few of the events that took place in the Paisley Book Festival's first year took place in the Paisley Arts Centre. So I would say that probably in years to come the Arts Centre will be seen as holding an important place within the history of Paisley literature and the celebration of Paisley writing. And a bit of modern fiction now for you all. If any of you have read any of the books by Iain Banks, you may recognise the name Espedair Street. It was the name of one of his novels, and if I remember correctly, it does start and end on the street, on Espedair Street, which is right behind me. And there are scenes that are set in what was the Paisley Tech, which is the Paisley Tech College, which is now which was the University of Paisley, which is now the University of the West of Scotland. But this is where it all started. So I'll turn the camera around and let you get a better view of the street itself. So the street starts on the side street. It's across the road from the Wellington pub. The Craig is up there. So that's the name of the street, Espedair Street. So that's the street in which the book Espedair Street by Iain Banks, both starts and ends. Well, that's me back from a little visit to Paisley. Hopefully you will have enjoyed this literary tour, and hopefully you will now be interested in maybe seeing more literary tours throughout Scotland. And yeah, but hopefully someday when we finally all are able to get back abroad, might try and do some more elsewhere if things will work out. So hopefully, fingers crossed, there'll be more to come. So I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.